Everyone, Michael the Mechanical here with another hot vlog. This is hot vlog 2 now, and I wanted to give a bit of an update on some things that I've been able to discover. So today I've got some good news, semi-good news. So I was talking, I think the other day, about the turbo having an issue, and we found more issues along the way, but I got some good news. There's this little arm down here, and I've managed to, I can't get the camera light on it. Ugh. Anyway, so I don't know if you can see this, but this little lever, I've got it moving again. It's sort of a bit tight, lightly, but it's easy to move now. And when I touch this one's actually a little bit lighter. So I guess it's just a bit blocked up with something, and I don't know what. But the bad news about that same housing is it's got a huge crack in it, so I can't really get on camera easily, but if I was to show a picture, it'd be so much easier. But there's a huge crack in it, and it's to the sort of bottom, and it's sort of facing. So if I was to look at this turbo housing, it's clean, it's perfectly symmetrical all around. Actually, it's not, it's a bit uneven, but there's a crack roughly there, and what happens is it cracks all the way through, but it's also got a crack going through the middle here, and the metal at the back here has lifted out. So that's a concern with this housing here. I don't know how much I can show because I got the camera only facing one direction. Let's try and see if we can get this on camera so you guys can have a look inside the turbo housing. So I don't know if you can see the cracks or anything. That's all at the bottom. I don't know. Let's see if we can get closer. Nope, I'm going to lose the camera and it's going to get all yucky and oily. But this is actually my phone, not necessarily camera. So it's not really that great condition, unfortunately. So at the moment, before actually making any videos or doing any work, I decided I was going to get my camera and pull some footage off of it and make it empty again, so it's all a little bit organized, because otherwise if I'm doing day by day making all these videos and then try to push them out all at once, all of it's going to be a little bit unorganized. So if I keep everything a little bit organized, it'll be easy to manage. I've taken off the top plate here and some stuff, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some I'm going to get these pistons level. I'm going to put some grease around the edges so that shrapnel doesn't go between the cylinders, potentially any of the delicate holes. I'm not going to worry about the thread holes because I'll just blow anything off. Actually, maybe I'll just blow it out. What else can I do? I don't really want shrapnel going into the block at all. So oil gallery is not really a problem. Actually, it all is a bit of a problem. So I'm pointing out this now. I'm going to be putting an MLS gasket on here. I don't know if I talked about it yet on a hot vlog. But I got my gaskets. I got the 1.55mm head gasket, but I've also got another just in case I need it, the 1.6mm head gasket, which is a composite. One's composite, one is MLS, and this requires a pretty much perfect surface to use. And because of that, I'm going to be doing the deck sort of not professionally. I wouldn't call it professionally, but I've got to do it lightly to prep it a little bit for the MLS head gasket, because we got some scratches in the deck, not many, just a few, and I got all these black arrows pointing at where they are, because they could, compromise the integrity of the seal. Now, I'll make it a little bit easier to see, if I possibly can. There's some scratches there. It'd be so easy if I could flip the camera, but I can't live stream, so there's some scratches right where the arrows are in the middle of the block. I gotta make it. This is hard to do. There's some scratches right there on the block, and you could catch your nail in there, but my nails, not all of them are, because I've been scratching things and chipping my nails. But I can feel these scratches. Those are machine marks I can feel. I can't feel all of them. I can't really feel these ones, so they're okay. There's one apparently right there, and I can feel it with the nail that's worn out. Here, Semi can feel some scratches there. This one here, yes, I can feel those scratches. So I've also got some right there, but they're very light there, so they're not really that bad. Here, I'll have to check my nail, and there's here. That's a coolant gallery, I believe, but otherwise, here's some scratches here, and I can feel those, so they're pretty deep, and they're close to the cylinder, so not too good there. So my dad, who is an engineer, who used to do, perfectly leveling stuff many years ago, perfectly surfacing, you had to file a block square sort of thing, and it had to be perfectly square. He's got that experience, and he's told me essentially what to do, and he said, oh, you don't really have to do much, you don't have to, try and grind the crap out of it, you just need to get those scratches to go away. And he wants to do it manually, but I'm going to be doing it because I know what I want to do. And he said use a flat block like this. I'll find a flatter one if I can, otherwise I'll be using this. And what I'm going to be doing is different to probably what he'd do. This cannot be 100% perfect. It cannot be, back and forth. They want, there's this circular motion. So what I'll be doing is I'll be using it and sort of going circular motion across the block and being careful about how much I put in one spot and working it back and forth. So I'll go over it, lift, back, and I'll try to do something like that to try and avoid unevenly wearing out the block and try to keep the level as square as possible. So working it together rather than, I'll just swipe a whole bunch over here, then I'll, drag it back, because then you have, not only do you have the circular motion, but you're also dragging it over and down, and it's not that circular motion. So I'm going to just do circular motion, and then bring it back, circular motion, 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 bring it back. And that's how I'm going to do this, so that it sort of retains the markings on the block. I'm going to do it across the whole thing to try and get it right. And that's what I mean by shrapnel. I don't want it going into the block. So that's how I'm going to do it. It's advised against doing things with emery paper, but we don't really have many options. If I want to put the head on here, I need the MLS gasket. And the reason I want the MLS gasket on here and why I need it is because it's in spec with the manual, which is E, which is 1.55 plus will take 0.05 millimeters. And because my averages were in between those, it was 0.71 and the minimum there, which was 0.68. So it was in between. So the average was just in between. It wasn't like too high and too low. It was in between. So I'm just trying to think what else can I do at the moment, or what else can I think of at the moment to get through this. So that's done. That's going to happen. Texture marks represent their own wear and tear. I also think I'm going to keep switching bits and pieces of the paper, so I'm not going to constantly use that same surface over and over again. I'll use it on something else that I'll need it for, but I don't really want to take too much material off. It's 400 grit, because I don't have any 320 laying around. I will be taking this turbo housing, and I'll be trying to clean that out with a machine or file or something to try and get that nice and neat. My turbocharger, I'm thinking about how am I going to balance this. This seems pretty balanced as it is. I spun it up with some air. Don't know how many RPM it was probably doing, but it seems still pretty balanced. Doesn't seem like it has any odd, motions. It doesn't seem out of center. It seems centered how it's moving, because there is play in it, but when you shoot it with the air, it doesn't seem really off-centering at all. It seems like it's pretty centralized when it spins. Like, it doesn't seem like it's going, it seems 100% in the middle and spinning. Actually, I'm just looking at it, I'm thinking, could we balance this another? Yep, you could. We could balance this another way. And I do sort of have an idea on how to balance it. As long as you're not really putting load on it and it's equalized as much as possible. The directional forces, you could have like a little leg that's squared down, but then have it so that it has a pivot point down, so it's like a V block. And then if there's any forces offset from center, it will move, and you can proportionally move it as required, and it could be like a pivot point or something. Probably not a pivot point. It has to be able to relax in the air. I'd have to figure out how to make it work. So that's just to test it and balance it as best as can. It's a small turbo, so I don't think it really is going to be much that's going to be a problem by it. The bigger it is, I think the worse it would be. You'd have to actually balance it. I don't have money to spend on anything anymore, so getting back to it could be awesome. I have been put on standby again, so it sucks, but okay. And tomorrow we have a meeting. I have a meeting with head office and my job consultant because of some issues and some intimidation, which is, not made me feel too great over the scenario of waiting and waiting and waiting. And then I just sort of cracked at the end that. But it's all going to be good. We're going to settle it out, and hopefully I'll be able to keep working. I need to look after myself as best as I can. I really, really, really want to get this back in. I really want to get this in my car as well as I can at the moment. I don't really want to use the injector pump that's on here because I don't know the condition. I'm going to have no choice so long as I can get a turbo going correctly and well and have no problems with it. It should be all good. I got to take risks so that I can have my car back and can drive it and do what I need to do with it. And I do feel really, really horrible at the moment, so I'm not going to lie about it. There's no point in sugarcoating it. But I do have the plugs. I do want to put off, if I'm going to run this engine here with that turbo or any random turbo or that wastegate or anything, I feel like putting on that, I feel like putting this back on even though it's, a little bit dodgy and not quite right. Because if I don't, then there's risks to the health of my engine to the point that something could go wrong. That is my engine protection. The actuator valve stays in the wrong position with a seized valve or something. It's not going to shut off like it should. That will protect the engine just in case a malfunction happens with the actuator or the valve or something goes wrong. So, yeah, not everyone's going to have a great day, not everyone's going to enjoy things, but this has got to be done, and I don't want to rush it, but at the same time, I've got no money to spend on anything anymore. I'm out. Like I said in one of my other videos, I've spent about $6,000 on my car, and I need to spend probably another $2,500. Actually, the price has gone up, it's probably $2,600 on the car, but I've had to buy all these extra things because I don't know what's going to work, what's not. I'm actually picking up the wrong things at the moment. So, essentially, I'm touching $1,400 worth of brand new parts, not including labour costs. That's expensive labour, if anyone was to do it. The block, $250 to get it prepped. Cleaning and machining, and the machine job was really good. But the cleaning was done crap, and I had to clean it, and when I cleaned it, I goofed up their machine job because they didn't do a really, really good job at cleaning. They did a really good job in the sense that they took all the oil off the side of the block. There was still residue in there, and it still is there. I didn't properly clean it out. I should have actually not. Thinking about it, it was a bit sludgy, so I think I should just pull that shaft out and clean it up again and get the sludge out of that. There was lots of flaky crap coming out of the block still. So it cost me potentially another machine job if I had to send it off again just to deck the block. They'd probably look at the cylinder bores and be picking on that if I had to send it off. Because, surface rust, you should do it again. Hone the bores again. All this stuff. And then there is, it looks, I can see the cross hatching in it. It's not great, but it's not bad. I don't think I have one good wastegate. I only have an okay, potentially rebuildable turbo. I don't have any balancing machines or anything. I have a messy environment. I had to spend money to clean up, like that cabinet over there. I needed it. let's see. I'm buying a dividing head. I was going to potentially put the engine on here and machine it here, but the clearance isn't there to use this head, which is for the vertical mill. Wasn't going to work. We have to get the... I don't even know what head it's called. We have to get the other head and find a way to mount it onto this arbor here, because that's what Dad wants to do. He wants to mount it on that big heavy duty bar there to make it so then it can cut that sort of thing, and we do the engines at home, but we can't on this machine because it's just not suitable at the moment. So that is going to cost me money. It's going to take a bit longer to save up. I haven't included that on my costs, but when I had I had around $2,000 when I started making these videos of this engine and doing the work and buying the parts and whatnot, and I don't know how I managed to spend so much so quickly on it. I think just in the bottom end there was about $800 in parts and whatever that I put into that. I bought a gear for $60 that I can't even use because it's not suitable, and even if it was, I wasn't going to use it. I just wanted another set of running gears spare. I didn't spend any money on head. I spent money on consumables, like $200 on consumables like this. So that brings me up to $1,000, left me with $900. I spent another $300 on my injectors. That brings me down to $600. From the $600, it brought me down to a whopping $160 after I spent a bit of money on that indexing head that is afterpay, so that brought me down probably $480. No, I'm thinking about it all wrong. I was already at $600. Yeah, $480. I'm down to $480. Then I've spent money on, what else was it? New actuator valve. That brought me down another $120, so that brought me down from $480 to $360. Bought a fan, that brought me down another $30, so it's $330. What else is there? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. This is all really, really tricky. From I think it's $330. $330. What else was there I bought? I bought the gasket kit, $60, so that brought me down to $40. No, $60 for that brings me down to $270, I believe. I'm down to $270 now. Jesus, it's so hard to come up with these numbers off the top of your head. $270. There was some other things that I'm trying to remember. It's so hard to come up with the top of your head with memory. I only just got, that's right, $200 in gaskets. So it was $270 down to $70 left. And even then I spent $30 something. No, I spent about, I'm at a $70 mark. I spent on bolts, was these bolts $22, so take another 20 off of that 70, and you come down to $50. And then I take the fittings off, which were $25. That $50 comes down to $25. So I actually have a little bit less than a lot less than $20 available. And that's when I started off with $1,900. Your money doesn't go very far when you think about all the things you got to buy. But this motor has already got $2,000, 100%. It has $2,000 in it already. So I'm making my point that money doesn't go very, very, very far. It costs you lots of money to do this stuff, and even when you think you might be able to do it on the budget, well, guess what? You don't have the budget because you need even more money than you expected, and you have to know every single expense. Now, I will make my point. I did know from the very beginning this could cost around $8-9 grand to rebuild the motor, okay? Because you don't just rebuild the motor itself, the core, you rebuild the injection pump, you rebuild the turbo or replace the turbo. you rebuilt this from the ground up like a brand new engine. And, you know, if I take my 1900, add the 1400 onto that, it's so easy to see why this motor has cost me far so much money. Brand new head. There's also some more money other than just the head. The 1400 plus 1900 is $2,900 already spent on this engine. But that's only what you can see. If I go $2,900 plus all the parts that are in the bottom drawer, $2,900 plus what's not these, because they were cheap. We got them cheap. That's hundreds of dollars worth of parts that we got on special. In here, I have about $800. Actually, no, this is more like $1,000 worth in parts. So if I take that number from $2,900, it becomes $3,900 on parts. Because of that bottle, I got 2 bottles. I think I've already put no, I haven't. That's the shitty bottle and the shitty pump. I was going to put an OEM factory one on there again. So I've got that. That cost, you know, the parts I thought was just $800. Originally, when I did my research, it was $1,200. But I managed to get the parts. They were $1,200 for $800. So $3,900. Now let me go back about 8 months ago. I bought my suspension. That was about $1,200. So if I take that $3,900, add $1,100 onto it, it goes up $5,000. There's all this expense. It's growing, but you know, at least in the end, if I do this as I'm doing it now, if I can get it to the finished line of everything being done correctly and perfection, I will not have another problem with this again. I'm just concerned that if I rebuild the injector pump, I did mention the injectors, because I got injectors, and I forgot about the paint job. That cost pretty penny. That was like $100 for the paint. So here's the new injectors. They cost $300. So if I take these, they were $20 for the 2 of them, I'm calling it. So yeah, it's around $5,000 I can prove very easily without looking at receipts, because I know the numbers, I know how much I've spent, but it's one of those things where people want proof. So $5,000, I had the number around $6,000 the other day when I was counting things, but I can't prove it because I don't remember how I got those numbers up that high. But I also forgot about other numbers, so it'd be somewhere $6,000 to $7,000. So if I add another $2,800 onto that $5,000, it's around $8,000 spent on getting the car to be both safe, if I do the work for the suspension, getting it safe and reliable. So the engine is the core of the whole motion. If there's no motion in this, the car ain't going anywhere unless you're pushing. If the gearbox goes, there is no way to transfer power from the engine to the wheels. If the diff goes, there's no way to differentiate power from the transmission to the wheels. There's all these various factors that make it difficult to make a decision. But I am pointing out, like I said, I'm getting a new one of these fan blades. That clutch is still, it seems pretty good still. Like it just a second ago felt loose, like it's intermittently loose. But that fan is just cracked buggery that I'm replacing in the fan. I think this hot vlog is way too long. But I feel like expressing myself and making sure people know that, yeah, I'm not in the greatest place. I've spent a lot of money and I still can't finish my project of making my car reliable because I've had enough of issues. But if I just could get back to work and earn that money, I will not be driving my car for a tiny bit of time. I'll be driving this for a little bit. But Mum wants it on a Monday, which is a critical day because on Mondays, most of the time, are working days for me. And it's paid working days. And Mum wants it on a non-paid working day, so no one's going to make any money. It's going to be more of a loss than a profit. Like I said, I need another $3,000 to finish this. And that's probably not even enough. I don't know if $3,000 is enough, but that's to do it properly. I could buy a turbo, $200, right? if that lets go, how much money did it take out? How much money is already invested in this? How much is going to take out the value of this? I could put a $200 turbo in here, right? If it blows up, what's going to take out? Going to take out brand new pistons. It could take out the head. The head is $1,400. If I think about all the costs, that's $2,000 it takes out. Plus the turbo itself, that's $2,200 it takes out. Head gasket, another $100 on that, so $2,300. But what else could it take out? I don't know if it could destroy the bottom end, in which case it'll make $5,000 worth of stuff crap. It'll be worthless. So I'm not gonna. I gotta stress the importance of me doing this right. If I do this wrong, it's over. My money, my effort goes to waste. And the reason I am Michael and Mechanical is because I want to stress the fact that you got to do this stuff right, guys. You can't bull crap around. That's why I'll be happy to send this out to machine this properly just about. I'll try this method, see what the end result is. If I can grab any scratches with my nails and it's not good, I will try to put a square block over it. This is not actually square, believe it or not. It looks pretty square to me, but it's not. And the good news is, if we really want this to be a square block, the good news is, I want to give you good news, this is capable of squaring it up, because I've got this bench here, slides backwards and forwards, and you could turn this table, put this over the material, and go backwards and forwards over it, and grind across, because I've seen that tool before, and that's what it can do. It can grind off the material nice and evenly, and it will make this block square. And then it could be, then I have a square to level this block off with, a proper square, proper straight edge. So I don't know how much I've got to spend, but I want to finish this project off. I want to do it well. And I am stressed because I can't go much further than I've already gone. I'm halfway there essentially. That's the way I look at it. But the only good news I can say is, if I can get my turbo to work and put it in this housing, weld this housing up and get that right and put it back on the car with no quarrels, no issues, no nothing, I could take my injector pump, put it on that. Hopefully it won't take out the injectors or do nothing wrong to the injectors. Hopefully it will do me good. And I could drive the new engine. I could put this in my car and drive with this and have no problems. That's not guaranteed though. I'm saying no problems, hoping that I wouldn't have any problems. But there's a chance that I will have problems. I have invested time into this. I've invested money into this. I don't want this to fail. My only concern after the engine is the transmission. I don't know how good the health is of that transmission, and unless that engine comes out, I won't know. I won't know how good that transmission is. I don't really want to do too much work until this is cleaned up, until this is mostly together. And in which case, when the head is on there, then I'm going to start putting this stuff together, cleaning it up, making it nice and neat and tidy, and then putting it on the engine, along with the new bits and pieces I've got for it. But that's a lot of money to invest into something, and I've only earned 10 grand in the time that I've actually been working for the company, but I don't know where the rest of the money was spent. Oh yeah, another thing I spent money on was the software to edit my videos, so now I can edit any video I make, and I won't have any problems. The old version was very unstable. I couldn't edit much on it, unfortunately. It made working in that software tedious because it kept crashing all the time. It made editing it tedious and stupid. I couldn't edit. It just was impossible to do it. But now, it's possible for me to edit videos again. So, I've spent more than I can really, really afford. I had the savings, and I did the best I could, and now I'm at the point where I just can't really go much further. I can only look out into the distance and wait. And wait until I get back to work, wait until I save up some money and do things right. I'm going to rebuild that turbo as best as I can, put it back together the way it came apart, test it with the air compressor to see how it's going to hold up. The problem is you can't test heat and some other bullcrap because you can't simulate it. But see how well it works on a bench test. See if it has any issues. Potentially put it in the car with that engine and save up while it's in operation until I can afford to replace the turbo and have the injector pump rebuilt. The spare anyway, the spare injector pump. Have that rebuilt. Then what I do is I get them to install the new injector pump, install the new turbo, give me the old stuff, and I put it to the side for the other engine project, which will be in the long term. That will be done in the long term. So this hot vlog is way too long, but that's the scenario. I know people aren't going to watch this thing to the end, but there is a lot of stress involved with wanting to do this right. You wouldn't think that car was worth that much. Now, people offered me way before I, decided I want to keep this car. They offered me $1,000 for it, $1,800 for it. I pretty much said no. I didn't give them, the chance to buy it. I did put it on, Gumtree to see what people's offers would be, but I never got nearly the same offer as that $1,800. That's the most I got offered for it. When I bought it, it was $600. It was not a running vehicle. You couldn't drive it anywhere. Its gearbox was destroyed. Change over gearbox, rebuilt, and that cost $600-ish. It cost another $200 for the gasket, so $800. And then you add the car, and that's $600, $800, $1,400. People wanted to buy it off me for $1,000 to $1,800. I could have made a profit at the time. Maybe the $1,800 could have been no, it wouldn't have been a profit. It would have actually been a loss because I forgot about the lights and the wiring and the tedious repairs I had to do to it. It more or less cost $1,800 to get this on the road. Probably $2,000 actually, because the rego, shoot. There's all these various factors that made it just, it wasn't going to be a seller for me. I'm happy with this car. It's done me well, it's doing me well. But I need to finish it and do it right. I'm going to probably, while I wait, take off these racks to make it look pretty again for a bit. Make it easier maybe to work on, I don't know. But I want to get these, the Rhino racks assembly sent off, cleaned, to be painted. I want to do the same thing for the Rhino head, I'm calling it Rhino stuff, okay? And I want to do that with the long support bar, the racks, and get that all cleaned up and nice and neat, so when it goes on the car it's nice and neat and tidy. That's stuff I shouldn't really worry about right now. What I need to worry about, engine, getting this thing running, making it look nice for a bit, and then getting those things back on the vehicle when I certainly am going to need it for long materials again. So thank you guys for your support. If you guys are supporting the channel, thank you guys for, any understanding of the situation. I'm going to get out my camera and start recording what I'm going to do with this block. I'm going to clean it up as best as I can, or try to. And from there, we'll see how far we go with this project. But within the next 1 to 2 days, I should have the rebuild kit available to work on this turbo and rebuild it, or whatever I'm going to do with it. Otherwise, I've got a lot of work to do. I'm going to be busy. So, yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for, participation. Yeah, the mill is getting ready to be used. And we're going to be getting that dividing head soon as well, hopefully. So anyway, Michael the Mechanical, out.